I don't know. I'm coming to you live from the day's end at like 6:46 in the morning on a Saturday. What do you think, Kat? Do you think that we can rock the show in Cleveland, Ohio tomorrow night when we're transported there by freight train? Yes. Do you really think that we can rock Cleveland, Ohio? We can do it. John Prine. She don't like her eggs all runny. She thinks crossing her legs is funny. And she looks down her nose at money. She gets it on like the Easter bunny. She's my baby and I'm her honey, and I'm never gonna let her go. Come on! I ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. She caught me once, I was sniffing her undies. I ain't too sharp, but I get things done, and I pop pills like they're oxygen. But I'm her baby, she's my honey, and she's never gonna let me go. In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, what a big dog prize. We're gonna spite our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. I screwed that song up, but I never played it before. But you know, I mean, it's a cool song, isn't it? I think so. All right, listen, you know, it's like this, like Scott Brandt, like, I was making fun of Scott Brandt. I wasn't really making fun, I'm just kind of like pointing some things out. And like, because that's Scott, I appreciate. Like, Scott's the guy that'd be like, you know, he's like another Andy Cross where, you know, they kind of like know what's going on, so there's really not a need to like kind of like explain things, but they're just like, well, yeah, and I get it, and I understand everything. And, well, just fuck it. You know, I mean, I know it all, and, you know, well, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they understand what's going on with you and, like, you know, your personality or what makes you defective and what makes you great and what makes you suck. That kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And so, but they just kind of like, yeah, that's but Scott, you know, he said, what? That's, you know. But when one time I was getting arrested in front of the Sigma Chi house at Florida State. And so, like, the cops got me, you know, they got me, like, handcuffed, you know. And so Scott comes up in his red Mustang, and he's like, he gets, I'm like, Scott! And I'm like, help me, Scott! You know, like from Star Trek, Spock. Help me, Spock! And I'm like, Scott, help me, Scott, help me, Scott! And Scott goes, whoop! Really? You know, like I made him totally, like, you know, he like didn't want to like get involved, you know. So, you know, he's Brother Iscariot, and will always be Brother Iscariot for abandoning me at that moment. But anyhow, but you know, he was all right. You know, he'd let me use his One time we were down the Keys, and I had the Voodoo Queen down there, and I go, Scott, let me use your Mustang. I gotta hook up with the Voodoo Queen. He gets the Mustang back, and there's like footprints on all the freaking glass, like all the windows, handprint, footprint, God knows what else. And he's like, Thumbhead, you will never be in my car again, especially with her. And so anyway, he's an all right cat, and it's not like he's got an easy life. One time, Knock would always say, I asked Scott, what he would do if if he didn't have any money. And Scott goes, if I didn't have any money, I would kill myself. And Rob's like, and I was like, and he really would too. He really, but it's not easy to be Scott Brandt. Okay, you don't think it is. He's in charge of all of that. All of those assets, all of those employees. They might be independent contract, whatever. They're employed. That's a hell of a lot of stress. A hell of a lot of stress. Yes, it's good to be king. It's good to be Scott Brandt, but don't think that I don't know, what that's like to have employees and to be responsible for them and to have that type of responsibility, So it's not easy being Scott Brandt, that's for sure. And, I was thinking about Tyler because, this is another funny story. We were like kids back in the day in Boca Raton, you're like, oh, Boca Raton is so fancy. No, not in the 70s it wasn't. Okay? It wasn't fancy. And that's like a Garfinkel word. Something fancy, that's what Gar says. And so, like, because his mom says it, But anyway, we'll be there like at time we're at Boca Mall. And there are these two stores on the end, Jefferson's and Brits. So we're up at Brits, okay? This is kind of going on with the other thing I thought. And we're just, I don't know how old we are. We're 5th grade, maybe, And these 3 punks are there and me. And so I'm about to get in a fight with these 3 punks, I didn't start it, believe me. I was a sweet kid, all right? And I'm like, well, screw you, let me get my friends. Go over to get Tyler. And Tyler's like over there, and I'm like, Tyler, come on over here, we got to fight these guys. Tyler's like, oh, no, I'm looking at this stuff over here. And and then we ended up, like, Tyler wouldn't come anywhere near him. And then we ended up having to, like this lady, like, let us in this, like, back hallway. And we had to, like, sit in the hallway until Mom came and picked us up. That's a terrible story. Awful. It's like an awful story. But like Brits and Jeffersons, if anybody grew up in Boca Raton, they'd remember those stores. That at least that's my age. But the deal with with all of that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say is like, even though, all of these people are not perfect, it's okay. It's kind of just like, whatever. I would just rather have I would rather have the truth than something that's not the truth. Let's just put it that way. And if you're not going to tell me the truth, then, I think it's time that she just kind of disappeared from my life. And that being said, have a great weekend. Rock it, rock!